Spooky shows were a cornerstone of Fox Kids for many years, notably from 1995 to 1998, when the schedule was dominated by shows like Goosebumps, Erie, Indiana, and Steven Spielberg Presents Toonsylvania. Even shows you wouldn't expect to have monsters and werewolves in them, like Saban's Beetleborgs, had monsters and werewolves in them. And this practice carried over to the Block's sister cable network, Fox Family Channel. When that network launched in 1998, one of its signature events was the 13 Nights of Halloween, which its current incarnation, Freeform, is still running to this day in an expanded form as the 31 Nights of Halloween. But Fox Kids was interested in this type of programming even earlier, dating back to its first year, when it aired the bizarre half-horror Pittsburgh Pigs and the goofy animated version of Swamp Thing. And it continued to dabble in it with occasional specials, like this rare piece of Fox Kids media that we're going to cover today. Count DeClues Mystery Castle.
Fox Kids Club!
Kids Club.
Now you see it, now you don't. Will you steal it?
I don't think so!
Sleight of hand is tricky. A thief can be quite picky. When fingers do get sticky, count DeClues. They try to jive and joke us with all the hocus pocus. Who puts it all in focus? Count DeClues.
Hand is quicker than the eye. Is it magic or a lie?
Now you see it, now you don't. Will you steal it?
I don't think so!
There's a hassle in the castle.
Is it magic or a lie? I don't think so!
Hi y'all, before we get started, I'd like to let y'all in on a new thing, the Fox Kids Club Pick of the Week. Similar to the Knick-Knack sample platters, these will be a look at a single episode of a Fox Kids show, any Fox Kids show. It's a way to skip around in the timeline and cover something that's coming up either way later down the line, or take a deeper look at a Fox Kids show that we've already covered. As the name suggests, these are shows that you pick. For a simple commission, you can request a single episode of a single show that aired on Fox Kids. One of the two Eek the Cat episodes where he meets Margaret Lash? Yep. Any Digimon episode you want? Also yes. The episode of Beast Wars where Dinobot dies, something that I am totally not including just because I love that show and I love that episode? Oh yeah. And because the kids media ecosystem is so interconnected, let's sweeten things a bit. You can choose an episode that didn't air on Fox Kids so long as the franchise itself aired on Fox Kids at some point. So, if you want to choose a Kids WB episode of Batman, an episode of the recent Animaniacs reboot, or literally any Power Rangers episode ever made, go nuts. And beyond that, yes, you can choose a show from a Fox Kids successor. That means you can choose anything from Fox Box or 4Kids TV, anything from Jetix, or even anything from Margaret Lash's second act, The Hub. I've never watched My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, so if you want that to change, send in a commission. To make a request, send $50 to hulkyd@gmail.com on PayPal. Please include the episode and the series that you want to request. And also make sure you can include where I can find it, be it YouTube, episode purchase, or a streaming service. As long as I can access it in some way, I can cover it. But I can't cover lost media. You can also make a donation through my Patreon page at patreon.com/JessMatthewsProductions. I have a donation listed on the new Patreon shop feature Or you can subscribe to the $25 tier for 2 months, and you will automatically get the right to choose a pick of the week. Thanks y'all for your support. It makes these videos and a career doing this possible.
And now, back to our show.
One night, a figure wearing a mask that looks like a pig or Winnie the Pooh from that weird horror movie enters a castle. It's looking for one thing in particular, the castle's magic wand, which it steals without hesitation. The castle is displeased, and when I mean the castle, I mean, the actual castle.
Hey! Who are you? What you doing with my wand? Think this is an open house? See any milk and cookies? How would you like it if somebody sneaked into you and stole one of your parts like your brain?
After that, we are formally introduced to Count DeClues, played by Max Maven. This is his castle.
A place where music, comedy, and sights never before seen are presented for your amazement.
He is joined by his faithful assistants, the Channeler Illusia, Dapper Swisher, Bottler, the Robot Butler, Robert Shields, the diminutive Professor Pixel, Danny Woodburn, his failed experiment Botch, Tiny Koenig, and Skater Kyle, Christopher Coombs. They learn that the wand is stolen, and throughout the show they use science and magic to figure out who done it and retrieve the wand. It's a pretty simple and thin plot, and part of that is because while all of this is going on, the Mystery Castle is still trying to put on a show. The mystery solving shares space with guest performances. Kevin James, the magician, not the king of queen, musical act The Boys, and hula hooper extraordinaire Matt Blender, who made me wonder if the Twirl King Yo-Yo team was going to make an appearance.
Oh, careful now. Oh, that one grazed my ear.
Don't move, you could really get hurt.
Oh.
Count DeClues Mystery Castle is a vehicle for Max Maven, who is hailed as one of the greatest and most influential mentalists of all time, and also a huge student of the craft of magic. Maven, whose birth name was Phil Goldstein, was a regular on the television magic special circuit. He wrote a regular column for Magic Magazine from 1991 to 1996, and he released a VHS tape in 1984, Max Maven's Mind Games.
My name is Max Maven, and I invite you to join me in a unique form of television. Together, we are going to attempt some, let's call them experiments, involving my mind and yours. The question before us is simple. Is it possible for me to influence your behavior working directly across this screen?
Count DeClues Mystery Castle sees him tone down the occult makeup from Mind Games and adopt a somewhat friendlier presentation. Other than that though, Maven is clearly playing himself, right down to an example of his mentalism at the end of the show. The other roles are largely played by character actors. Dapper Swisher popped up a few times in shows like Fresh Prince and Seinfeld before transitioning to a career as a writer for shows like CBS's All Rise and Disney Channel's That's So Raven. Danny Woodburn is a regular actor in film and TV to this day, with his most recognizable role probably being Tony the Elf in the Schwarzenegger classic Jingle All the Way. The voice of the castle is provided by David Leisure, who was actually a pretty notable name. His biggest roles include Charlie Dietz in the long-running NBC sitcom Empty Nest, the sleazy car spokesman Joe Isuzu, and he was in Power Rangers as the Bus Org? Okay, that's something I didn't expect. The special was shot on location at the Magic Castle in Hollywood, California. There's quite a bit of history to this location. It was built in 1909 as an ornate private residence. In 1962, the castle was leased to Milt, Bill, and Irene Larson, the sons and daughter of William Larson Sr., who formed the Academy of Magic Arts. The Larsons restored the castle, establishing it as the Academy's headquarters, It's a very private and exclusive club, open only to members of the Academy and their guests. And the Academy had some pretty notable members. Mark Summers is one of them, and Nick actually leveraged his membership in the Academy to tape their own Halloween special at the Magic Castle. Misty Lee is another example of a magician, and while you might not recognize the name, you'll definitely know the name of her spouse, Batman the Animated Series producer Paul Dini. Another notable name is Randy Pitchford, boss of Borderlands maker Gearbox Software, and as of 2022, the castle's current owner. The show was produced by Wendy Blair, who had experience producing a ton of sitcoms, including Three's Company, The Ropers, and Three's a Crowd. Bob Logan is an executive producer and director of this special. He co-wrote with Jack Mendelsohn. Mendelsohn was a writer for Laugh-In, he wrote the Beatles animated classic Yellow Submarine, and he was a mainstay of the 80s cartoon scene, serving as a story editor of the 1987 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. As for Logan, he also had 80s tune experience, story editing the 1986 Dennis the Menace cartoon. After this, he'd serve as a writer for several reality specials like Wow, the Most Awesome Acts on Earth. He'd also work on Tattooed Teenage Alien Fighters from Beverly Hills, because everything comes back to Tokusatsu. As for the making of this special, there's unfortunately not really a lot to go on. I used my usual sources at newspapers.com and World Radio History, and neither of them had any information about this special. Nor have I seen any interviews, video or otherwise, with any of the stars and producers of this special. This was clearly meant to be a pilot for an actual series. The episode is introduced like it's the first episode of an ongoing series, not a one-time special, and that's backed up by the cast inviting us to join them next time. In addition, this special was uploaded to Vimeo, evidently by Bob Logan himself, labeled as a pilot. So I think it's pretty obvious to conclude that they intended to do more than just this one special. But for whatever reason, they didn't. For what I suspect are contractual reasons, pay or play contracts I guess, they aired the pilot as a special, but the way they handled it implies they didn't have a lot of faith in it.
Trick or treat. Give me something good to eat. Happy Halloween! Fox invites you to celebrate with us Animaniacs as we host 2 days of kooky, spooky fun. The scares begin next Friday afternoon when you'll go bessie for the freaky new Fox special.
DeClues Mystery Castle.
Then Howl with Tiny Toons, Animaniacs, and Batman in frightfully fun Halloween adventures.
And on Saturday, treat yourself to more Monsters Mayhem all morning long.
Don't be a Halloweenie.
Watch Fox's Halloween next Friday afternoon and Saturday morning on Fox.
It only aired twice, first airing at 3 p.m. on Friday, October 29th, 1993, and then again at 7:30 a.m. on October 28th, 1994. These are not time slots you give to a special that you are confident will succeed. It also has a 1992 copyright date, which suggests that Fox Kids held onto this for over a year. While this would be somewhat regular practice, episodes of shows like Tasmania and the second season of Batman were held for months. It's a little suspect in the case of this special. If it was done in 1992, why not air it in 1992? So why didn't this become a series? Again, I don't have any answers, but my educated guess is this has something to do with cost and quality. This special was filmed on location at an exclusive club. It was presumably produced with union talent. All these actors were in union productions. This flies in the face of most Fox Kids live action shows, which were either done on the cheap as complete non-union productions, or just outright filmed overseas in Canada. But more than that, it it's just not that good. There are some pretty funny moments in the writing, though it definitely does give off the stale whiff of 80s cartoon writing.
Whoever pulled this mega heinous heist left this note with your name written on it.
And Max Maven is a wonderful, reassuring presence here as the ringleader of a band of misfits. But I also think he's miscast. In essence, he's taking on the Kermit the Frog role of gentle soul whose patience is endlessly tested. That's a hard role to fill, and I don't think it always worked for Kermit either. But I think the biggest issue here is pacing. When you're packing 3 talent acts and an involved mystery-solving plot into a 30-minute runtime, things feel quite a bit overstuffed. Nothing has a chance to breathe. It's a sugar rush. Lots of calories, but no nutrients. You can best see this problem in Kevin James's act. He doesn't explain anything. He actually says nothing. There's no context applied, and by the time I was able to figure out what was going on in his performance, the act was over. I feel like either if you cut one of the acts out, or even better, you did it as an hour, the special would have played a lot better. But this isn't really a Fox Kids show, is it? As I was watching this, that was the thought that was running through my head. This doesn't feel like Fox Kids. This feels like a Nick special. Besides the fact that, yes, 7 years prior there was that Mark Summers special, it just feels like something you'd see on Nick. A variety show with sketches and talent acts, which was decidedly not the animation-heavy Fox Kids formula. I feel like there's more to this production than we know. Just taking a wild guess, I wouldn't be surprised if this was initially picked to Big Fox, perhaps as a straighter Max Maven at the Magic Castle special, none of the Count the Clues stuff, and it was sent to Fox Kids. We've seen an example of this. Trey Parker and Matt Stone's 1995 special Time Warp, which we covered in Almost Fox Kids. I wouldn't be surprised if this is another example of this. Max Maven would remain one of the giants of the magic scene for decades to come. In November of 1993, just weeks after Count the Clues premiered in the US, he started as host of Something Strange for ITV Wales in the UK. He'd go on to host shows focused on magic or the paranormal around the world. And perhaps the most interesting project from our perspective is a series he created for TV Ontario, basically Canada's equivalent of PBS. Maximum Dimension.
Welcome to the Maximum Dimension. This is a place where just about anything can happen. And what's going to happen now is that you and I are going to play a game working directly across this television screen. So I need you to leave your seat and come up here so that you can touch the screen.
This is an educational show that uses magic and mentalism to teach kids about math. And I gotta say, his erudite, even gentle presence is a much better fit for this educational format than filling the Kermit role on the magic-themed Muppet Show. He still does that here to an extent, but here he's the foil to some pretty normal young assistants. While on Count the Clues, he had to deal with a robot butler. The context is just a little different and a little more favorable in this case. Sadly, we lost Max just about a year ago. He passed away on November 1st, 2022 after battling brain cancer. He was 71. A collection of his Magic magazine columns was published as a tribute, and countless examples of his mentalism can be found on YouTube. I highly recommend spending an afternoon watching it. It was a really fun experience for me and probably the highlight of making this video. As for Count the Clues, I just can't shake the feeling that this is the remnant of something that was originally quite different. Who knows? Maybe something will surface on the internet after I post this video, and we'll come back to this special someday. I hope we do, because I think there's more than meets the eye here. And for a magic special, nothing can be more fitting.
Please clap.